The grand hall of the Valerian Empire gleamed with crystalline walls that reflected the harsh judgment of 1,000 eyes. Princess Huna stood at the center, her lavender skin flushed darker with shame as the court whispered around her. She could hear every word. The Valerian nobles did not bother to lower their voices anymore. Look at her. She can barely stand without breathing hard. Remember when she could dance for hours? Now she cannot even walk properly. A disgrace to the royal bloodline. Huna kept her eyes down. Her ceremonial robes, specially made to fit her changed body, felt heavy. Everything felt heavy now. Her arms, her legs, even her heart. 2 years ago, she had been different, tall and lean like all Valerian warriors. She could fight for hours without tiring. She could leap 3 times her height. She moved like water, graceful and unstoppable. The people had loved her then. They had called her the jewel of the empire. Then the sickness came. At first, it was just tiredness. Then her body began to change. She gained weight rapidly. No matter what she ate or how much she exercised, her muscles felt weak. Her reflexes slowed. The palace doctors tried everything, but nothing worked. They finally declared it a wasting disease, though she was not wasting away. She was growing larger, softer, slower. In Valerian culture, the body was everything. Warriors were respected, the strong led, the beautiful inspired. Huna was no longer any of these things. Today had been the final humiliation. During the reception of allied worlds, she had stumbled. Her foot caught on her own robe, and she fell forward into a display case holding priceless crystal sculptures from the Centauri delegation. The crash echoed through the entire hall. 1,000 guests watched as she struggled to stand, her face burning with shame. Now she stood before the Empress. Her aunt, the woman who had once looked at her with pride. Empress Valora sat on a throne of black stone, her expression cold as ice. She was everything a Valerian should be. Tall, powerful, beautiful. Her silver hair flowed like water down her back. Her armor gleamed. "Princess Huna," the Empress said. Her voice carried through the hall without effort. "You have brought shame to House Valerian. Not once, but many times. We have been patient. We have been kind. But today, you embarrassed us before our allies. This cannot continue." Huna wanted to speak, to defend herself, but her throat was tight. What could she say? Everything the Empress said was true. "You are no longer fit to represent the Valerian Empire in public," the Empress continued. "You cannot fight. You cannot dance. You cannot even walk through a room without causing disaster. Therefore, I am removing you from court." A collective gasp ran through the assembled nobles. Removal from court meant exile. It meant losing everything. "You will be sent to the human Valorian diplomatic station," the Empress declared. "There, you will serve the lowest-ranked human worker on the entire facility. Perhaps working beneath someone will teach you the humility your body has failed to learn." The hall erupted in shocked whispers. To serve a human was bad enough. Humans were seen as weak, fragile creatures. But to serve the lowest-ranked human? It was the ultimate insult. Huna's head snapped up. "Aunt, please. Let me stay. Let me prove I can still be useful. I can work in the archives or teach the young ones. Or—" "Enough." The Empress's voice cracked like a whip. "You will obey, or you will be stripped of your title entirely and exiled to the outer colonies. Which do you prefer?" Huna's mouth closed. The outer colonies were prison worlds. She would rather die. "I will go," she whispered. "Good. You leave at dawn. Guards, take her, prepare." 2 guards in full armor stepped forward. They did not touch her, but they walked close on either side as they escorted her from the hall. She could feel their disgust radiating from them like heat. As she walked to the palace one last time, servants pressed themselves against the walls to avoid her. Children pointed and whispered. A group of young warriors she had once trained would turn their backs as she passed. In her chambers, Huna looked at herself in the mirror. Her face was still the same. High cheekbones, large amber eyes, full lips, but her body was unrecognizable. Her arms were thick, her waist wide, her legs heavy. She looked nothing like a Valerian princess should look. She touched the mirror with one finger. "Who are you?" she whispered to her reflection. The reflection had no answer. A servant brought her a simple gray robe and a small container for her belongings. No armor, no jewelry, no symbols of her rank. She was being sent as a servant, and servants wore gray. That night, Huna did not sleep. She sat by her window and watched the stars. Somewhere out there was the diplomatic station. Somewhere out there was a human who did not even know she existed yet. A human who would become her master. She wondered what he would be like. Cruel? Indifferent? Would he mock her as her own people did? Would he work her until she collapsed just to prove his power over a fallen princess? Huna closed her eyes. It did not matter. She had no choice. Her old life was over. At dawn, she boarded the transport ship without looking back. The palace grew smaller behind her until it was just a bright point of light. Then it was gone. Princess Huna was gone too. Now there was only Huna. Servant. Exile. Failure. The ship jumped to faster-than-light travel, and the stars blurred into streams of light. She was heading toward an unknown future, with an unknown human, in an unknown place. She had never felt more alone in her entire life. The first week was awkward. Huna tried to be a servant, cleaning, organizing, staying silent. Juno kept telling her to stop. "I don't need someone to clean up after me," he said on the third day, finding her scrubbing his already clean floor. "I need someone to help me fix the air recycler in Section 12. You any good with technology?" Huna looked up from where she knelt on the floor, her hands wet and soapy. She had been scrubbing for an hour, trying to make herself useful, trying to fulfill her punishment properly. Yes," she said carefully. "I studied advanced systems at the Royal Academy. Engineering, navigation, weapon systems. All nobles must learn these things." Juno nodded like this was normal information. "Great. Grab those tools over there. The red box." Huna stood slowly and used to being addressed so casually. On Valoria, servants were given clear commands. Do this. Go there. Clean that. But Juno spoke to her like she was a person, not a tool. She picked up the red toolbox. It was heavy, but she could carry it. Juno was already walking toward the door, expecting her to follow. The maintenance tunnels were a maze beneath the station. Narrow passages lit by dim lights, pipes running along every wall, the constant hum of machinery. Juno moved through them like he had memorized every turn. "Most people never come down here," he said as they walked. "They just want things to work. They don't care how." He glanced back at her. "You okay? We can go slower if you need." "I am fine," Huna said quickly. She was breathing harder than she should be, but she would not show weakness. Not even here. They reached Section 12. A large metal panel covered the wall. Juno opened it, revealing a complex system of filters, fans, and electronic components. "The air recycler keeps acting up," he explained. "It works, then it doesn't, then it works again. Classic intermittent problem. The worst kind." He pulled out a scanner and began checking connections. Huna watched carefully. After a moment, she noticed something. "There," she said, pointing. "That connection is loose. See how it is not seated properly? When the system vibrates, it disconnects, then reconnects." Juno looked where she pointed. His eyebrows went up. "You're right. Good eye." He handed her a tool. "Want to fix it?" Huna took the tool, surprised. She made the repair carefully, her hands steady despite their size. When she finished, Juno tested the system. It ran smoothly, no more stuttering. "Perfect," he said. "That problem has been annoying me for weeks. The official repair team couldn't find it. The official repair team is not very good," Huna said before she could stop herself. Then she froze, afraid she had spoken out of turn. But Juno just laughed. "No, they're not. They know theory but not practice. They fix things by replacing parts until something works. You actually understand how things fit together." It was the first compliment Huna had received in months. She did not know what to say. They worked together for the rest of the day. Juno would explain a problem, and Huna would help solve it. He treated her like a partner, not a servant. He asked her opinion. He listened when she spoke. It was strange and uncomfortable and somehow wonderful. That evening, back in his quarters, Juno made dinner again. Some kind of rice dish with vegetables and egg, mixed together in a bowl. It's called bibimbap, he explained. You mix it all up before you eat. Here, try it. Hyuna mixed the ingredients and took a bite. It was delicious, different from Valerian food, but good. She ate slowly, still not used to eating in front of others. On Valoria, she had taken to eating alone in her chambers, unable to bear the stares. So, Juno said between bites, "What do you like to do? Besides engineering, Hyuna paused. No one had asked her that in a long time. I used to dance, and practice combat forms, and read. I loved reading. Used to. I cannot dance anymore. I am too heavy, too slow, and combat is for warriors, not for—" She gestured at herself. Juno frowned. "That's stupid." Hyuna's eyes widened. "What?" "I said that's stupid. You can't dance the same way." "Sure, but there are lots of ways to dance. Slow dances, partner dances. Earth has hundreds of types. And combat—" He shook his head. "Combat is about strategy and skill, not just speed. A smart fighter beats a fast fighter every time. That is not what my people believe. Your people are wrong about a lot of things, I think." Juno said it so simply, so matter-of-factly, that Hyuna almost laughed. "You are very strange, Juno." "Yeah, I get that a lot." He smiled. "But you're still reading, right? You said you loved it." Hyuna looked down. "I have no books. I was allowed only basic belongings." Juno stood and went to a shelf. He pulled down a datapad. "Here, this has about 1,000 books on it. Human books, mostly. Fiction, history, science. Take your pick." He held it out to her. Hyuna stared at it like it might bite her. "Why are you being kind to me?" she asked quietly. Juno sat back down. "Why wouldn't I be? You haven't done anything to me. You're just a person having a hard time. I know what that's like. But I am supposed to be your servant. Your property, practically." The guard said. "I don't care what the guard said. I don't want a servant. I want—" He paused, thinking. "I want someone to talk to, I guess. Someone to share meals with. Maybe a friend, if you're interested. This station gets pretty lonely." Hyuna felt something crack inside her chest. Not breaking, but opening. Like a door she had kept locked was finally being pushed open from the outside. "I have not had a friend in a long time," she admitted. "Me neither," Juno said. "So maybe we can figure out together. No servants, no masters. Just two people who fix things and eat dinner. Sound good?" Hyuna took the datapad from his hand. Her fingers brushed his, and she realized she was not afraid. For the first time since her body changed, someone was touching her without disgust or pity. "Sound good," she echoed, testing the phrase. Over the next weeks, they fell into a rhythm, mornings in the maintenance tunnels, fixing the 1,000 small problems that kept the station running. Juno would explain the systems, and Hyuna would offer solutions he had not considered. She was brilliant, he realized. Her royal education had been extensive, and her mind was sharp. Afternoons, they would return to his quarters. Sometimes Juno would cook. Sometimes Hyuna would try, creating strange fusion dishes that combined Valerian spices with earth ingredients. They were not always successful, but they were always interesting. Evenings were for talking. Juno told her about Earth, about Soul, about the wife and daughter he had lost. Hyuna told him about Valoria, about palace life, about the person she used to be. "Do you miss her?" Juno asked one night. "The old you?" Hyuna thought carefully. Yes and no. She was confident, beautiful, strong, but she was also simple. She believed what she was told. She never questioned. This me, she touched her stomach. This me thinks, questions, sees things differently. Change does that. Juno said, loss does that. It breaks you open, and you have to decide what to put back and what to leave behind. What did you leave behind? Anger, mostly. Blame. The need to understand why. He looked at his hands. My family died, and I wanted someone to blame. The other driver, the car company, God, anyone. 2 months after Huna's arrival, Juno noticed something odd. Chemical residue in the filtration system. Trace amounts that shouldn't be there. It was coming from the Valerian diplomatic wing. That's strange, he muttered, running another scan. Huna looked over his shoulder. What is it? Some kind of synthetic compound. It's in the air filters from the Valerian section. Been building up for a while. He frowned at the display. It's biological. Affect metabolism, I think. Huna went very still. Show me. Juno pulled up the historical data. The chemical had been present for over a year, appearing in small amounts at first, then growing stronger. He traced it back through the system's memory. It started appearing about 14 months ago, he said. Right around... He looked at Huna. Right around when you said you got sick. Huna's hand went to her throat. Her lavender skin paled to almost white. No, that is not possible. But Juno was already digging deeper. His fingers flew across the datapad, pulling up chemical databases, cross-referencing compounds. He had been a good engineer once, before life broke him. That knowledge was still there, waiting. This is a metabolic disruptor, he said quietly. It changes how the body processes food and stores energy. Causes rapid weight gain, muscle weakness, slower reflexes. Everything you described. Stop, Huna whispered. Please stop. You weren't sick, Huna. Someone poisoned you. The words hung in the air like smoke. Huna sat down heavily on a maintenance crate, her breathing fast and shallow. Who? She asked. Who would do this to me? Someone with access to the Valerian diplomatic wing. Someone who could introduce small amounts of this compound into the air system over months without being noticed. Juno saved the data to a secure file. Someone who wanted to change you slowly, so it looked like natural illness. Huna's mind raced. Who had access? Dozens of people. But who had motive? Who benefited from her disgrace? I need to see the communication logs, she said suddenly. From the diplomatic wing. Can you access them? I can access anything. I maintain the systems. Nobody watches a janitor. Juno plugged into the station's network. What am I looking for? Messages to Valoria. Encrypted ones. Especially from Ambassador Miho. Juno found them quickly. Hundreds of encrypted messages over the past year. He ran them through decryption algorithms, working through layers of security. It took hours, but eventually the messages opened. Huna read them, her face growing darker with each line. It was Lady Salmon, she said finally, her voice hollow. My aunt's chief advisor. She coordinated everything. Miho was her agent here. He introduced the poison slowly through the air system in my private chambers on Valoria. When I was sent here, he continued it through the diplomatic wing filters, keeping me weak, keeping me changed. Why? What did you do to her? I threatened the old ways. Huna stood, pacing in the small space. I was third in line for the throne. I advocated for reform, for treating other species as equals, for judging people by their character, not their bodies, for changing the warrior culture that has defined Valoria for thousands of years. She laughed bitterly. They cannot kill me. That would make me a martyr. My reforms would become rallying cries. But this, she gestured at herself. This makes me a failure, a cautionary tale. The princess who fell from grace because her body betrayed her. No one would follow someone who looks like me. Juno felt anger rising in his chest, hot and fierce. He had not felt this strongly about anything since his family died. They stole your life, your body, your future, for politics. Yes, Huna said simply. We have to expose this. We have evidence. These messages, the chemical analysis, we can prove what they did. Huna looked at him with sad eyes. And then what? They will deny everything. I have no power. I am disgraced. Who will believe a failed princess and janitor? Then we make them believe. We broadcast this to everyone, not just Valerian officials, but the whole galaxy. Human media, neutral networks, everyone. They can't hide if everyone knows. They will kill us, Juno. If we threaten to reveal this, Miho will not arrest us quietly. He will make us disappear. I know. Juno met her eyes. But I'm tired of being invisible. Tired of watching powerful people hurt the weak and getting away with it. Are you? Hyuna thought of the Empress, her own aunt, who had condemned her without question. She thought of the nobles who had mocked her. She thought of Lady Salmon, who had poisoned her for months, destroying her body and her life just to maintain power. No, she said, I am not tired. I am angry. Good. Anger is useful. Let's use it. They were making plans when Juno's door chimed. They both froze. Juno Webb, a voice called from outside. Ambassador Miho's voice. Open the door. We need to discuss your recent system access. Juno and Hyuna looked at each other. Miho knew. Somehow, he knew they had found the evidence. He will take us, Hyuna whispered. He will lock us up and destroy the evidence. Then we don't let him. Juno grabbed his datapad and began typing rapidly. I'm setting up an automated broadcast. If I don't cancel it in 12 hours, everything we found gets sent to every news network in the galaxy. He will torture us for the cancellation code. There is no cancellation code. I'm lying, but he doesn't know that. Juno smiled grimly. And it gives us 12 hours to get to the communication hub and broadcast it ourselves. Juno Webb. Miho's voice was harder now. Open this door, or we will override it. How do we get out? Hyuna asked. Juno pointed up. In the ceiling was a maintenance hatch, barely visible. The tunnels connect everywhere. I know every passage, every exit. They don't. He climbed onto his bed and opened the hatch. Come on. We don't have much time. Hyuna looked at the hatch. It was high. She was heavy. But Juno was already pulling himself up, then reaching down for her. I've got you, he said. Trust me. She took his hand. He pulled, straining with effort, and she climbed. Her body was not what it once was, but it was still strong in different ways. She made it into the tunnel just as the door override completed. They heard Miho and his guards enter below. Heard them searching. Heard Miho curse. Find them, he ordered. They have information that cannot leave the station. Use any means necessary. I want them alive if possible, but silence them if you must. Hyuna and Juno crawled to the maintenance tunnel in darkness, moving as quietly as they could. Behind them, they heard guards spreading out to search. Any means necessary, Hyuna repeated quietly. He will send hunters. Mercenaries, people who kill for money. Then we move fast. Juno led her through turns and junctions she could barely see. The communication hub is in Section 19. If we can reach it, we can broadcast everything. Once it's public. Killing us won't help them. And if we don't reach it? Juno didn't answer. They both knew what would happen if they failed. They crawled deeper into the maze of tunnels. Two people carrying evidence that could shake an empire, running from those who would kill to keep it hidden. Behind them, heavy footsteps echoed. The hunters were coming. Hyuna felt fear, but also something else. Something she hadn't felt in months. She felt alive. The maintenance tunnels became their refuge. Juno knew every passage, every access point. He'd reinforced certain sections over the years, creating safe spaces where sensors didn't reach. They'll send mercenaries, Hyuna said, breathing hard. Miho can't use official forces without revealing conspiracy. He'll hire hunters. Then we use what we have. Juno pulled up a schematic on his datapad, the screen glowing in the darkness. This station is mine. I know every alarm, every camera, every locked door. I can turn this whole place into a maze. They were hiding in a junction deep in the lower levels. Juno had sealed the entrance behind them with a maintenance lock that only he knew how to open. It would buy them time, but not much. There, Hyuna said, pointing at the schematic, 3 heat signatures moving through Section 8. Moving fast. Coordinated. You can read heat signatures? I was trained for combat. Reading enemy movement was part of that training. Her eyes narrowed. Those are Krell mercenaries. I recognize the formation. 3-person hunter team. Very expensive. Very deadly. Juno studied the display. The mercenaries were sweeping through the maintenance levels systematically, checking every tunnel. They would reach this junction in about 10 minutes. "Can you fight them?" he asked. Huna hesitated. "Once, I could have fought 10 of them. Now, my body is different, slower. But I know how they think, how they move. If we cannot fight them directly, we can outsmart them." "How?" She pointed at the schematic. "They will pass under Cargo Bay 4. There are containers stored there, suspended by magnetic clamps. If someone were to shut off the power to those clamps at exactly the right moment," Juno smiled, "the containers would fall on them." "Yes, but the timing must be perfect, and someone needs to trigger it remotely. I can do that. I have access to every system." He began working on his datapad, creating a remote trigger. "But we need to move. If we stay here, other teams will corner us." They crawled through the tunnels, Juno leading the way. Huna followed, her larger body making movement harder in the tight spaces. But she did not complain. She focused on breathing, on moving, on surviving. They reached a junction that overlooked Cargo Bay 4 through a ventilation grate. Below, they could see the mercenaries approaching. 3 figures in black tactical gear, weapons ready, moving with professional precision. "Wait," Huna whispered. "Let them get into position, under the containers." Juno's finger hovered over the trigger on his datapad. The mercenaries spread out, searching. One of them moved directly under a stack of 3 heavy containers. "Now," Huna said. Juno cut the power. The magnetic clamps released. The containers fell with a crash that echoed through the entire bay. The mercenary tried to dodge, but he was too slow. The first container caught him, and he went down. The other 2 mercenaries scattered, looking up in alarm. They started shooting at the ventilation grate, but Juno and Huna were already moving, crawling away through the tunnels. "One down." Juno said, "How many more will Miho send?" "As many as it takes. He cannot let us reach the communication hub." Huna paused to catch her breath. "But now they know we are fighting back. They will be more careful." Over the next hours, they played a deadly game of cat and mouse through the station. Juno rerouted power, sealed doors, triggered false alarms. He made the station itself their weapon. Huna used her combat knowledge to predict the hunters' movements, to set traps, to stay one step ahead. In Section 14, they found another hunter team. This time, Huna led Juno through a series of tunnels that looped back on themselves. She positioned them behind the hunters, then had Juno trigger an oxygen leak alarm. The hunters rushed toward the alarm, and Juno sealed the blast doors behind them, trapping them in an empty storage room. "How long will I hold them?" Huna asked. "Few hours. Maybe less if they have cutting tools." Juno checked his datapad. "We're getting close to the communication hub. Section 19 is just ahead." But as they rounded a corner, they ran directly into 2 more mercenaries. Everyone froze for a split second. Then Huna moved. She was not as fast as she once was, but she was still a trained warrior. She grabbed a loose pipe from the wall and swung it at the first mercenary's weapon, knocking it aside. The mercenary tried to counter, but Huna had already shifted, using her weight as an advantage. She slammed into him, and his smaller frame couldn't handle the impact. He crashed into the wall. The second mercenary raised his weapon, but Juno threw his toolbox. It hit the mercenary's arm, spoiling his aim. The shot went wild, hitting the ceiling. Huna kicked the fallen mercenary's weapon away, then grabbed the second mercenary's arm. She twisted, using leverage instead of speed, and disarmed him. Both mercenaries backed away, realizing they were outmatched. "Run," Huna told them in their language. "Tell Miho that we are coming for him. Tell him that he has failed." The mercenaries ran. Juno stared at Huna with new respect. "You said you couldn't fight anymore." "I said I was slower. I did not say I was helpless." She picked up one of the fallen weapons, checking it expertly. "I learned to fight in a new way, using weight instead of speed, using leverage instead of strength. My instructors would say I fight wrong now, but wrong fighting that wins is better than right fighting that loses." They continued toward the communication hub. The path was clear now. Most of the mercenaries were trapped or scattered throughout the station. But when they reached the hub, they found Ambassador Miho waiting for them. He stood alone, holding a weapon, his face cold with fury. "You should have stayed quiet," he said. "You should have accepted your punishment, like a good little princess. But you had to involve this human. You had to dig where you did not belong." "You poisoned me," Huna said. Her voice was steady. "You destroyed my body, my life, my future. For what? Politics? Power? For the Empire?" Miho shouted. "You would have ruined everything with your reforms. Your soft ideas about equality and change. Valoria is strong because we are strong, because we value perfection. You threatened that." "No," Huna said. "I threatened you. I threatened people like you who use strength as an excuse for cruelty, who use tradition as a weapon against change." Miho raised his weapon. "It does not matter now. You will not leave this room alive. Neither of you." But Juno was already typing on his datapad. "Actually, we already won. See, while we were talking, I accessed the communication array. I've been broadcasting this entire conversation to every news network in the galaxy. You just confessed everything." Miho's face went white. He looked at the communication array, saw the active broadcast light. "No. No." "Yes," Juno said calmly. "Everyone knows now. The Valerian Empire, the human government. Everyone. You can kill us, but it won't change anything. The truth is out." Miho's hand shook on the weapon. For a moment, it looked like he might fire anyway. But then they heard footsteps. Station security was coming, alerted by the broadcast. Miho lowered the weapon slowly. His face was empty now, all emotion drained away. He had lost, and he knew it. "It's over," Huna said. The aftermath was chaos. Within hours, the Valerian Empire's internal politics exploded. Reformist factions that had been silent for decades found their voice. Ambassador Miho and Lady Samin were arrested. The Empress herself faced calls to abdicate. Juno and Huna were locked in protective custody. For their own safety, Commander Williams assured them. "You two started a revolution," Williams said, standing in the doorway of their secure room. He did not look entirely pleased. "Half the Valerian government wants you executed. The other half wants to build statues of you. The media is calling you heroes. And I have to deal with the diplomatic nightmare you created." "Sorry," Juno said, not sounding sorry at all. Williams sighed. "Just stay here. Don't talk to anyone. Don't make any statements. Let the lawyers and diplomats handle this." He left them alone. The room was comfortable, at least better than Juno's old quarters. 2 beds, a sitting area, a window looking out at the stars. "Do you think we did the right thing?" Huna asked quietly. She sat by the window, watching ships come and go from the station. "Yes," Juno said without hesitation. "They hurt you. They would have kept hurting you. And they would have done it to others too. People like that always do. But now the Empire is unstable. There might be civil conflict. People might die because of what we revealed." Juno sat beside her. People were already dying, just slowly, quietly. Everyone who didn't fit the perfect Valerian ideal. Everyone who was different. You said it yourself. Your culture was poisoned long before they poisoned you. We just exposed it. Huna leaned against his shoulder. It had become natural now, this casual physical closeness. "I am afraid," she admitted, "of what comes next." "Me too, but we'll face it together." They stayed in protective custody for 3 weeks. During that time, the Valerian political situation continued to deteriorate. The Empress tried to maintain control, but the evidence was too damning. Lady Samin had kept detailed records of conspiracy. Ambassador Miho, facing execution, had confessed everything in exchange for a lighter sentence. The reformist faction grew stronger every day. They demanded changes to the laws about physical appearance and status. They wanted to open a line of succession to anyone of merit, not just those who fit the warrior ideal. They wanted Valoria to join the galactic community as equals, not conquerors. And they wanted Princess Huna to come home. The Empress herself came to the station. She looked older than Huna remembered, more tired. The weight of the crown had grown heavier. They met in a secure conference room. Just Huna and the Empress, alone. Niece, the Empress said. The formal coldness was gone from her voice. Now she just sounded sad. I owe you an apology. I believed the lies. I thought you were sick, not poisoned. I thought you were weak, not sabotaged. I sent you away when I should have protected you. Huna said nothing. She had imagined this conversation 1,000 times, but now that it was happening, she did not know what to feel. The council has cleared your name, the Empress continued. All charges and punishments are removed. Your title is restored. You are welcome to return home and resume your position in the succession. And if I do, what changes? Huna asked, will Valoria be different? Or will it be the same empire that value my body more than my mind? The Empress flinched. The council is considering reforms. Considering is not enough. I will not return to a place that might change. I will only return to a place that has changed. What do you want, Huna? Huna stood and walked to the window. Below, she could see the station's cultural center, the place where humans and Valorians learn about each other. An idea formed in her mind. Make the reforms real, she said. Change the laws. Make body type irrelevant to status. Open the succession to those of merit. Stop judging people by how they look and start judging them by what they do. And if I do this, then I will help, not as a princess, but as an ambassador. I will bridge the gap between humans and Valorians. I will show both our peoples that we are stronger together than apart. But I will not return to the palace. I will work from here, from this station. The Empress was quiet for a long moment. You have changed, niece. Grown stronger in ways I did not expect. Suffering does that. If it does not kill you, it remakes you. Very well. I will champion these reforms. And you will serve as our first ambassador of cultural exchange. But Huna, the Empress met her eyes. I am proud of you. I should have said that years ago. I am saying it now. After the Empress left, Huna found Juno in the common area. He was fixing a broken chair, because that was what he did. He fixed things. So, he asked, looking up, what did she say? She offered me my title back, my position, everything I lost. Juno's hand stilled on the chair. Are you going back to Valoria? No, I am staying here, as an ambassador, building something new. She sat beside him. But I will need help. I will need someone who understands both worlds. Someone who can design systems and solve problems. Someone I trust completely. Juno smiled slowly. Are you offering me a job? I am offering you a partnership. Equal partners, building bridges between species. What do you say? I say yes, but I have one condition. What? We stay friends. Whatever titles we get, whatever work we do, we stay the people we are now. Deal. Huna took his hand. Deal. 6 months later, the Cultural Center opened officially. It was a beautiful space, part Valerian architecture and part human design. A symbol of two worlds coming together. Huna ran the center with passion and intelligence. She organized exchanges, taught classes, hosted events where humans and Valorians could meet and learn from each other. Young Valorians who had been rejected by their culture found acceptance here. Humans who wanted to understand their alien neighbors found knowledge here. Juno designed all the systems that made it work. But he also taught engineering classes, showing young people from both species how to solve problems creatively. He was no longer invisible. People knew his name now, respected his knowledge. But more than that, they respected his kindness. One evening, after everyone had gone home, Huna and Juno stood together looking at the center they had built. Do you ever regret it? Juno asked, giving up your title? Your palace? Your old life? No, Huna said honestly. That life was killing me. Slowly, quietly, but killing me all the same. This life, she gestured at the center. This life is mine. I chose it, and I am happy. Me too. They watched through the windows as a group of young Valorians and humans left together, laughing and talking. Next week, some of them would participate in a cultural exchange program that Huna had created. They would visit each other's worlds, learn each other's languages, become friends across species. "We are changing the galaxy," Huna said softly. "One friendship at a time. It's a good way to do it. Slow but good." Juno turned to her. "Can I tell you something?" "Always. When I lost my family, I thought I would never care about anything again. I thought I would just exist, fixing pipes and counting days until I died. But then you arrived. The end.